The real fit. As for what I'm going through, we've been together for 15 years, and in my eyes most of them good. Just the last few years have been rocky. We got together pretty young, 17 to 18, and maybe that's part of the problem. We started out dating while we both lived at home. About 6 months after I got my own place, she kept staying over more and more, until she just stopped at home for laundry. After a while, I decided she was a keeper and suggested we find a new place and move in together. Lived together since. We had our issues here and there like anyone, but we're happy. She went from her parents to living with me and has never lived on her own. These last 2 to 3 years have been rough. About 4 years ago she took a job on second shift, with rotating days off. I wasn't happy about it, but since she had put up with my previous work schedules, 1 year on third, and 10 years working setters, I figured I had to deal with it. These last few years it's worn me down a lot. It's hard to have a relationship seeing each other a few times a week. And when she'd have her days off, she'd want to see friends as well, meaning even less time for us. We've never been as involved in each other's lives as we should have been. We let each other do our own thing for a long time, and through a lot of that we thought it was good, that each of us could be independent. But I've realized now that long term this was very bad. Too much separation between us. Not enough joint friends, activities, etc. We still have a lot in common, but allowed our own needs to take precedent instead of our needs together. She's told me a couple times the last few years that she was unhappy and considering leaving. I'd convince her we could work things out. We'd make some changes short term, but never really had the communication to know whether there were still issues and ended up falling into old habits. About 4 weeks ago she told me she's moving out. It was different than before. Felt like I got hit in the head by a brick, suddenly realizing things were worse than I thought, and this was real. She said we had just grown apart, and she wanted to be on her own. I tried to get her to stay but failed. Basically, walking around in a daze for days. After a few days I realized I needed to straighten out some things in my life, and decided I was committed to doing whatever it took to make things work between us. I started taking a hard look at myself and our relationship and didn't like what I saw. Spending little time together had put me in a slump these last few years where I stopped wanting to go out or do new things. I just stayed focused on when I would see her next, and when I did, I still didn't want to go out and do things with our friends, just wanted to spend as much time together as possible. I started overanalyzing everything, put a lot of stress on her, and focused on a lot of areas in our relationship that were just symptoms of our actual problems. I started to realize our real issues. Her hours, my slump, depression, little communication, and simply just too much time apart. I tried to come out of it and do everything I could to save what was left of our relationship. Wanted to make a fresh start of things and work together like we should have from the start. But everything I've done has made her dig her heels and more. I've tried getting more active, running, exercise, dance class, and she told me she resented that I was only making these changes now. I tried to convince her that counseling could help, and she shot me down immediately. With her moving out seeming inevitable, I tried to sit down and work out some sort of groundwork for a separation and a plan to work on us, and she refused. She won't start a serious conversation with me since telling me she's leaving. I've had to initiate everyone. She refuses to make any plans for the future, except for moving to her father's. She refuses to discuss any chance of us working together to fix our relationship. I feel like the only traction I've made was when we talked about her hours, and she accidentally mentioned that they were changing to something more reasonable. When I calmed down enough to be able to talk, I told her that while she harbors resentment towards me for not being involved enough in her life, I'm resentful that she put her job ahead of us when she knew it made me miserable. She got quiet for a while, and I think that sunk in. We both eventually admitted that neither of us understood what it meant that it takes work to keep a relationship good, or what was needed. My take on this, which I have told her repeatedly, is that if we made it 15 years without a clue, if we worked together now, we could be better than ever. I want to take this as an opportunity, not just call it a failure. And right now, she just wants to leave, and make no commitments to try to reconcile. I feel like I've tried everything I can, and just keep failing. She tells me she still loves me and that I'll always be a part of her life, yet she's still leaving. I'm trying for a real commitment and effort between us, and she just wants to walk away and be on her own. She said she still wants to be friends and have me in her life, but that's just not possible. We did agree a few days ago that we should sit down and talk sometime after she leaves, and we've had some time to calm down, but I have no idea where that will go. Today, she's moving out of the house. She said she would either have her things moved today, or possibly have to move a few small things tomorrow. When I get home, I have no idea what I'm walking into. Either a half-empty house, or a woman nearly moved out that will barely talk to me. Either way, I have no idea what I'm coming home to, or which would be easier. And I have no idea if I'm just hurting us both trying to hang on, or if I'm doing the right thing. I love her and want her in my life and want us to really be a part of each other's lives. But she won't talk about the future past moving out, and it's leaving me jumping from emotion to emotion. I'm just at a complete loss at this point. Well, I came home to nearly all of her things gone. She's staying at her dad's tonight and coming back for the rest of her things tomorrow. I have no idea if I'll see her tomorrow or not. Not sure which would be easier, or even which I prefer. Not feeling like there's any good way this can go tomorrow. Been watching some videos and realized I've got some serious codependency issues with her. As much as I want to get back together with her, I'm not sure I'm even capable of following through with my intentions to make a fresh start with her until I make some changes and start worrying about myself for a change. Saw some book recommendations here and online. Going to check those out this weekend. Maybe us getting away from each other from each is a good thing. Maybe she'll re-examine what she really wants, and if she would be interested in a healthier relationship with me. At the least, I think I need to do this for myself. Maybe that's what the 180 thing is about, I'm not really sure. Right now, I just hope I can stick to this resolve. I'm a lot clearer-headed during the day when I'm at work and occupied. Find myself having a lot more trouble and a change in attitude when I get home. Figured this deserved an update. She just left and is officially moved out. Left 2 wardrobes and a bicycle. I know she wants the bicycle back, not sure if she cares about the wardrobes. We spent about 3 hours talking and realized we're on the same page with a lot of things. Neither of us wanted the relationship to stay the way it was, and we both failed at keeping it going. I was clear that I did want to get back together, but not like we were. She did at least agree that if we were to get back together, we would both have to go all in and put forth the effort. Also agreed that if one of us feels the need to date, or goes on a date, we would talk about it. Although right now I don't think either of us is interested in that. She doesn't want to tell her casual friends about us splitting because she doesn't want to invite that kind of attention. The main difference between us is that I want to try and work things out, and she feels it would be dishonest to make any promises at this point. We agreed to meet again in a few weeks and see where we both stand. I think she needs some time away from me to sort out what she wants, and I realized I need the time away from her to focus on myself. I feel strange right now. I actually feel good that she's gone. I expected to crash, and I probably will, but it's like the weight is off of me. Not having to see her and be rejected, not having to watch more and more things move out every day, not feeling like a prisoner in my own home. I think she'll be open to trying to work things out eventually, or at least I want to think so. I probably won't really have a clue until I see her next. Right now, I want to be able to just focus on myself, do this 180, and not worry about her until then. I know I won't be able to keep this focus all the time, but I hope I can as much as possible. I know my focus has to be me, but my heart, well, it keeps wanting to think about what could be. I'm trying to keep myself occupied, or focused on getting myself back together, but some days it's hard. I spent the first couple nights drinking and just trying to push everything out of my mind for a while. I had fun, but I know I can't do that every night. Since then, I've been trying to work on myself and get the house in order. Been reading Codependent no more. It's a good book, and it's scary how much of it applies to how I was living the last few years. Reading it seems to help keep me focused for a while. As for the house, she left with most of the important kitchen items among other things. After a few days and a few expensive trips, I've got my kitchen set up with most of what I need. Kind of silly, but I was really excited when I was finally able to cook again on Tuesday. Ended up feeling pretty good for most of this week. Been having a rough time since last night though. I was going to be in the neighborhood, so I dropped off her mail at her dad's since I knew she wouldn't be home. Thought it would be a good idea, but I think I was wrong. Seeing her dad was hard. Then ended up getting a text today saying thanks for dropping off the mail, which turned into a text conversation for a while. Didn't talk about anything serious, and I don't know if that made it better or worse. But something that small has had me screwed up all day. I think I see why I keep seeing no contact brought up so much here. It's just too hard to deal with. Right now, I'm torn between wanting to forget about her and wanting her back. I do want to work things out, but every time I think about it, I end up feeling worse, like I'm giving myself hope and then tearing it away. I want to keep working on myself but try and keep possibilities open between us. But I don't know if that can actually work the way I want it to. Do I just need to work on myself, try not to think about her, and just accept whatever is going to happen will happen? Or am I still stuck and looking at this the wrong way? Do you still want her back? And I do still want to hear that she'll come back eventually, whether it's true or not. I know in my head when I'm thinking clearly that working on myself is better for me whatever the outcome. But I'm having a hard time shutting up the part of me that just wants her back already, whether I'm ready or not. A few weeks back a good friend threw out a similar concept and got me thinking about this. With most of her friends married, his thought was that it was getting to her. He doesn't really know her that well, but he was trying to give me some ideas. Quite honestly, I was against marriage for a lot of years. I watched my parents divorce when I was a kid and saw how my father ended up having to live after ending up with almost nothing. I've watched friends and coworkers divorce and seen what they went through. About all I can say is that it scared me and made me equate marriage with divorce and losing everything. At some point my outlook did change. I'm not sure exactly when. But at some point, I stopped thinking of her as my girlfriend, and more as a wife. But by then, getting married didn't seem to be an issue for her, and it wasn't something that ever came up. As for her standpoint, she eventually decided that it wasn't important to her. Something she said to me while we were talking the day she left, that to her it meant more that we stayed together without it. Maybe that's true, maybe it's just something she's telling me, or telling herself. I really don't know at this point. I do feel pretty confused on the topic at this point. After seeing the things we both did wrong, I've wondered if things would have been better or worse if we had been married. Maybe we'd have tried harder, or maybe it would have made this worse. Oddly, I don't find myself falling back into my old views on marriage through this. I've been spending a lot of time thinking about what I want in life, and one of the few things I'm certain about right now is that I do want to be in a good, healthy, functional, committed relationship. I'm not saying tomorrow, or that I'm going to do anything foolish to get her back, just that it is something I want in life. Whether that will involve marriage or not, I just don't know right now. I spent weeks agonizing over the possibility of losing her and trying to find ways to get her to stay. I need to try and accept the fact that she walked out the door, and I did lose her. That the worst thing I thought could happen, did happen. It's hard to think it, but I guess I need to come to terms with that and accept it. I'm going to keep trying to focus on myself and the present. Weekends are harder than the work week though. At a friend's suggestion, I started up a to-do list for getting things done around the house. Still have a lot to do, so hopefully that helps keep me occupied. There are still some visual reminders around, things she left. Most of them don't seem to bother me much though. About the only things that still bother me are the couple items in the garage that she didn't move, and the 2 wardrobes in the spare bedroom. Although really that whole room bothers me. We had small closets, so that room was mostly hers. Other than the wardrobes and a lamp, it's empty. Then pretty much ignoring the room since she left. The other things that did bother me are gone. Or maybe I'm just burned out from watching those things get packed up over the weeks. I am going to need to do some decoration though. I've way too many empty picture hooks on the wall that keep reminding me of what was there. Not sure yet if I should just pull them out or try and redecorate. Not really sure if I'm ready to do that yet though. Started moving things that remind me of her into that room. Spent most of today cleaning the house, and as I ran across things that made me think of her, off they went. I did make a mistake and opened an old photo album I came across. Looking through it shook me up, went from sad to angry pretty quick. After I came to my senses, it got shoved back into the bottom of the drawer. Going to head out with friends for a bit. Hopefully it cheers me up and keeps my mind from wandering in the wrong direction. Well, last night was a bit of a bust. Caught up with my friend and his girlfriend. To say I'm not a fan of hers would be an understatement. But still, I wanted to get out and have a good time. Anyway, not too long into it, she created some childish drama and demanded he take her home. Said he could go back out afterwards, but she wanted to go home. I just told him if he wanted to catch back up, cool, and if not, that was fine too. Really didn't bother me either way. Been doing some writing this morning and thinking about things, and I think I've noticed a couple changes in myself. For one, I used to feel the need to talk some sense into my friend when this sort of thing happened. I think I just felt a need to fix things. This time I realized that it's just something he needs to work out on his own. I was able to let it go, and not let it bother me for once. Another thing is when my friend suggested an activity that might be a good date idea for us. I told him point blank that I first need someone to go on a date with. I've been saying things like she left me, moved out, that I'm hoping we can work things out. I'm trying to accept that she left me, and I think that's the first time I've been able to just admit that. The other thing is that I'm realizing I really can be angry with her. Maybe that just goes along with trying to accept she's gone. I've been angry with her actions, choices she's been making, but not her directly, and it's occurred to me that I really am angry with her. A lot. We were finally both able to open with each other, communicate clearly what was wrong and what was needed. I felt like I was finally able to put forth my best, and that we had an opportunity to turn things around for the better, and she left anyway. I know that I need to be focusing on myself, but I feel like I need to talk with her again in a few weeks or so to see if her view has changed, to see if she'll want to give us another try, see if we really can work together. She left, and I should probably feel some closure from that. But I can't help but feel like things are unresolved. Like I want to know what kind of person she really is now. If she does want to work things out, I'd obviously be happy, but I know I'd need to be careful not to undo the progress I'm trying to make for myself. If she doesn't want to work things out, and she just wants to walk away without putting forth the effort to see what we can be, then she's not going to be someone I want in my life. Maybe it's because we agreed when she left that we should talk in a few weeks and see where we're at. Maybe I'm just desperate and trying to hang on. And what's strange is that I'm both angry and glad she left. Part of me thinks she made a bad decision for both of us when she left, that we could have worked things out. The other part of me is glad she left, that I have the time and space to myself to think and decide what I want out of life. Part of me wants to set timelines, that if she doesn't call me by day X that I'll need to initiate a conversation. But from what I'm reading, I think it's just me trying to get a false sense of control over a situation I have no control over. I know I need to try and let go, just let life happen and do what I need to do when I'm ready. I'm still trying to figure out how though. Anyway, I needed to get this out. Going to try and spend the rest of the day trying to focus on me. Do some more cleaning, go buy some weights, and cook a good dinner. Try and get some peace from this no contact and keep busy to keep my mind off all of this. I do want out of this limbo, but I'm having a hard time seeing a way out yet. The last time we spoke in person I felt that she seemed to have doubts, and she seemed open to the chance of trying to start over at some point. I was trying to leave the door open when I told her we should talk again in a few weeks. I didn't want to let go of that chance. And she seemed to want to leave the door open as well. Now I'm starting to wonder if that was a bad idea because of what I'm letting that do to me. At this point I'm bouncing between being hurt and being really angry. Woke up at 4 a.m. and couldn't get back to sleep. First time I've had trouble sleeping since she left. Was just feeling sad and hurt by all of this. Caught up with family after work and was able to level out for a while. Got home and I'm back to being incredibly angry. Trying to understand how the woman I love could walk out while I was doing everything I could, and we had finally opened the doors to real communication about our issues. I know there's no understanding it, but it eats at me anyway. I want to confront her about it, to hurry up and get that last chance out of the way and hope I can get some peace from it. To just find out who she really wants to be. But I know I'm in no state to do so or make a decision like that. And it's barely been over a week, which isn't enough for this to really sink in yet. Maybe I just want to know if she's going through what I'm going through. My head knows I need to let go, and I'm trying, but my heart won't listen. Patience has never been my strong point. Maybe that's something I need to learn from this. She texted me today about her friend's mom having recovered from some medical issues. It seemed like I should text her back, so I did. I think I should have ignored it, stayed no contact. I think every time I do hear from her it just screws up my head. There's only one thing worth really discussing, and if she's not interested in discussing that, I shouldn't be doing this to myself. I wanted to be able to text her happy birthday this weekend, and now I'm worried about contact with her tearing me up again. I want to let go. I used to be someone that could do that, live in the moment, and take things as they happen. I want to be that guy again. I just don't know how to get there again. The only thing I can control in this is me. Just hard to get myself to accept that. Something I just read in Codependent no more struck a nerve. Taking about ways to fulfill what you need in a healthy way. Mentions not trying to control the object of your attention. I've never been the controlling type, really been on the opposite of that, but it's like I'm grasping for a way to control an uncontrollable situation. I need to stop. It's eating me up, and I don't want to try and force things. What I really want is for her to genuinely want to come back. I've been trying to keep my train of thought along these lines this afternoon, about how forcing things isn't what I want. Even if I could make her come back, that's not what I want. What I want is her to come back genuinely wanting to reconcile. If it's not genuine, I don't want her back. Maybe this is convoluted, but it's the best way I can explain it. And I've started to think about the couple times we got close to this over the last few years, our reactions to them, and about what I've been learning about codependent actions. The other times we've had serious problems. I was simply scared of losing her, and wanted her to tell me what to do to make the problems go away. We had poor communication, and nothing was really solved. And it led to this. This time I really think I'm different. I'd be lying if said I wasn't scared of losing her. But right now, I'm not sitting here wanting her to tell me what would make it better. I'm supposed to be focusing on me and what I want. This time I want to tell her what I want in my life and out of a relationship with her. What I need. I still think there's an opportunity here if she wants to take it, that we should find out if we really can meet each other's needs. I know, she already left me. I tried explaining this to her, and she still left. For a while before I came here, I was in a really desperate stage, and I think that just pushed her further away and may be why she dug in her heels and refused to try. Even when she left and we had a real conversation about where we were, I was ready to put in the work, but I don't think I was really wanting to do it for me. I know I'm not supposed to be thinking of R and focus on myself. What I'm trying to say is that I'm starting to understand that. I do think R would be good for me and for both of us. I think that if we both put in the work, we could meet each other's needs and wants. What I really want is to get what I want and need in a healthy relationship, and that's something I should never settle on again. I'm feeling more that I want her to want to R than just that I want to R, and there's no way I can control that. I've left the door open, and she can choose this opportunity or she can pass it up. There's no point in me trying to worry about what will happen, so I'm going to try and stop obsessing over it. I am feeling really good right now. Got some exercise, about to go meet friends, so this is probably a temporary feeling. But I'm going to try and hang on to the thought that what I want is my needs to be met in a healthy way. And that whether we are or not, my needs need to be a priority to me for once. I really wasn't sure if my thoughts were on the right track. I did have a really good day yesterday. Feel like I slipped backwards a bit today. I'm off work the next 5 days and I'm a bit apprehensive about how I'll do with that much time to myself. Tomorrow should be good though. I did something I wouldn't have done before, signed up for a meetup to go hiking tomorrow morning with a really large group. I think the outdoors and exercise will do me some good. Seeing family shortly after that for the holiday, so I've got a busy day. Just not sure what to do with the rest of my time off yet. I don't want to stay idle, but at the same time I need to start getting more comfortable with being alone. Yesterday turned out to be a good day overall. The hike was fun and area was quite scenic. 60 people came out, and I did manage to socialize with a few. I've never been the outgoing social type, but I've gotten a lot worse the last few years, probably due to insecurity issues. Just enjoying a hike surrounded by 60 strangers is a good step for me. So that and talking with a few new people I'm happy with is a step in the right direction. Thanksgiving with the family, small group, 3 of us, started out pretty hard, feeling like she should be there with me. I wasn't sure if it would be a good idea, but I did send her a text to say Happy Thanksgiving. Couple texts back and forth about what we were doing for the holiday, and she said to send her love to my family. Was a bit surprised by that. Also made me wish she was sending some love my way, even though I know better than to expect that. Thanksgiving did end up with a rough start, but thankfully my family was there to help me through it, and I ended up having a good time. I've had little contact with her in the 2 weeks since she left. 3 brief text conversations, 2 of which she initiated. 3rd was me saying Happy Thanksgiving. No phone calls, and I haven't seen her. I really have no idea what she's been up to. I did find out a couple interesting things from the family. When my STBXW, not really sure what to call her at this point, refused to treat this as a separation and just wanted to leave. She did say she would leave her Facebook status as in a relationship because she wanted to be alone and didn't want to attract any attention from her male friends. I didn't really expect it, but apparently, she left that up even though she removed her from location that was set to our town. My family seems to think she's not really ready to move on. Things like this, leaving a few things in the house and garage, the fact I had to tell her she couldn't keep the house key. I'd like to think these are signs she wants an excuse to come back, but I think I've learned enough here to not try and read too far into these things and give myself false hope. Also found out my STBXW's mother and stepfather were floored when they found out she was leaving me. Apparently, they were a lot fonder of me than I realized. It sounds like the conversation between her and her mom didn't go too well, and left her mom asking mine what's wrong with her daughter. Glad I'm not the only one asking this. Also found out she's spending her birthday going out of town to her sister's this weekend. I'm honestly happy for her that she's doing that. They're very close, and maybe the trip will help give her some perspective on her life and her choices. Sure, a small part of me wants to think maybe her sister will talk some sense into her. I don't know how much she's been able to lean on her friends, but she's closer with her sister than anyone. Whatever the outcome, I'm happy for her that she'll be getting some support. There's another thing that I'm a bit hesitant to bring up, as I don't think it's the issue. STBX's mother is bipolar. My family had some concerns about her recent actions being a sign of that. I don't think that's what's happening here though, and that they're just looking for an easy explanation for what's happened between us. If nothing else, I don't think she'd have stayed committed to leaving over an entire month if this was just a manic episode. I really didn't mean to write a wall of text about her. It was just the first I've heard about what's going on in her life, and me trying to process it. I've actually had an okay day today by myself. Nothing great, some ups and downs, but got some things done around the house, and started working on a regular exercise routine so I can stay consistent. Going to stop thinking about her now, not try and overanalyze the above, and go back to trying to focus on myself. I don't know if I can trust my gut instincts yet, but what they're telling me is this. I know she originally thought I was happy with the way things were between us. I think she built up the nerve to move out for a long time and was surprised that I opened up about not being happy. I think that's why she started opening up more before she left, including discussing what R would require. I also think she had built herself up to moving out, felt she had to follow through regardless, and was scared we'd end up back where we were if she didn't. When she left, we agreed we should talk again in a few weeks and see where we stand. I think we should follow through on that decision. I want to wait the rest of the week, and if she doesn't reach out, then ask her directly if she still wants to have that talk. A lot has changed for me. I've made good progress on myself, and I have a better understanding of what I want. I'd expect she's done some self-examination as well. We've had very little contact the last few weeks, and neither of us can know where the other is until we do. I don't want to force anything. Just be able to tell her where I am, and for once tell her what I want out of a relationship with her, and let her do what she wants with that knowledge. If she wants to great. I wouldn't expect anything drastic or immediate. Let things happen at a pace we can both be comfortable with. Although if she wants to move back home immediately, I don't think I'd be willing unless she agreed to MC. Too great a chance to fall into old habits. And I have to accept it's likely things won't go that way. She may refuse to talk. She may be willing to talk but say no to R or want more time. At least then I won't have this discussion we agreed to hanging over my head. Either way, I think this is something I need to get some peace. It feels like we have unfinished business the way we left it, and I'm finding it hard to move on from that because it's giving me a measure of hope for R. I know that even if she says no to R, in reality the door will still be open until I can eventually get over her. But if we do talk and she says no, I can at least keep moving forward. Whether there is another man, God I hope not. For what it's worth, I had asked her, she told me no, and I did believe her. That said, I do see similarities to the stories of others here, and I know asking her isn't a good source of information. And I do have a lingering concern now. Looking at our cell phone bill recently, I did see a large hash of texts between her and a male friend. This guy is married and has a bunch of kids. I know he had issues with his wife and they went to MC to work things out. I really don't think she's the cheating type. She's seen that in her family and then looks down on it. And if she did, I don't think she would get physically involved with a married man with children. Still, I'd be a fool if I didn't have concerns about whether she's just leaning on a friend who's been through tough times, or if there's more to it. I don't really have any evidence of a E or P though, and it's hard to base anything on a number of texts because she's always done a large amount of texting. Still, it makes me uncomfortable, so I do intend to ask her about this. The texts go back a while, but the frequency seemed to kick up the last 2 to 3 months. We're still on the same family plan. I brought up getting her off it before she left. She really didn't seem eager to do that, and said she was fine paying it until the contract was up. She did say she would look into it but didn't follow through. It's one more example of her not wanting to cut all the strings. I know if I ask her about it, I could be viewed as the crazy jealous type whether there is something there or not. It's not a lot to go on, just enough to raise concern, even though this is not something I would expect from her. But how could anyone not feel the need to confront that? As for talking to her, I'm torn now. Part of me feels I should follow through like we agreed on. The other part of me wants to listen to people and let her make the effort if she wants to. And if I ask her about the text, it may blow up in my face. I'm frustrated that I felt I was making good progress until I looked at that cell phone bill. Now I feel like I'm going backwards and letting myself get hurt again. And all over something I can't even prove. I don't know what to do right now, so that means I can't do anything yet. My comment, do you think there will be anger coming into part 2? Or OP will let his wife walk all over him? We will find out in part 2 shortly. Subscribe and I will publish part 2 soon.